right, welcome. I'm Attorney James Betzel. Welcome to the Prima.Law podcast. So again, as you know, we've started our third season. We are actively producing this podcast because it is so much fun. All right, now on the show today with us, I have awesome guy. He's got a lot of great stories to tell. He comes from Colombia, and he is currently working with Bella Legal Assistance. And as we've shared before, Bella Legal Assistance is one of the reasons that we have this show to help let other immigration attorneys know that if they need legal assistance, not like help, but like people to assist them virtually meaning from another place outside their office. We have Bella Legal Assistance, and they're great. They got a lot of great experience now, and they are really helping attorneys and their clients. So without any further ado, let's meet our good friend Gilmer Barrios. Gilmer, welcome to the show.
Hey James, how are you? Thank you for inviting me today.
Well, thank you for coming. And it's part of work, so you have to be here. Sorry, you don't have a choice, but I think we're going to have a good time. All right, so we were talking a little bit earlier and just sort of getting ready for the show. Gilmer, I want everybody to get to know you a little bit. Tell them a little bit about life growing up, school, all those sort of things. Just sort of jump into it. Let us know.
Okay. Well, I was born in Neiva. Neiva is a city in the south of Colombia, but then we moved to Pitalito. It is another city in the same department here, and I grew in a farm. So I started my days very early, like 4 or 3 a.m. I went with my grandfather to milk the cows, to get vegetables, to get fruits. Here there are a lot of vegetables and fruits. So it was really fun to grow in a farm. And I shared a lot of time with my grandparents. Mm,
So time on the farm, this is a finca then, right?
yeah, a finca. A finca.
All right, so is this like a finca for like for personal use, for families, sustenance, or did you like guys like sell products to other people, or what kind of finca?
Yeah, it was like a family finca, and we produce our own food, but also it was like a coffee farm, and we sold coffee. So we produced
Oh.
coffee, and the coffee was sent to other countries of the world. For example, Europe. Europe was a customer of the farm. It was really good coffee.
So the coffee then, so you were at, okay. So sometimes when we're traveling like through the Colombian countryside, we'll see like these buildings where there's like these large roofs, maybe like plastic on it. They look like a large
Yeah,
greenhouse, right?
yeah,
For drying out the coffee beans.
yeah, yeah. There are a lot of. The farm was a mountain full of coffee trees, and there were people who were going to collect the beans, and there started a long process to get the processed bean. So it was many machines, many people working around the coffee in the farm.
And now when you say it was on a mountain, I've seen some of these coffee farms or fincas or plantations out there. And like the mountains are like 60-degree angle steep.
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah, it's very
yours was like?
difficult. Yeah, and people have their I don't know, like a cage here in front of their chest, and they start collecting the
Mhm.
beans so fast. They are so fast, and they put it in a bag, and they take out the bags in the mountains, like here on the shoulder. It's really difficult because the mountains are very I don't know how to say it, but very
Very
vertical.
steep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very steep. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
it was
Because I've
difficult.
seen those and I've always been amazed because that takes a lot of like manual work. You got to get people up there and people, I mean, they've got to be there with their hands grabbing the coffee fruits, right? Because it's a little fruit, the seed
Yeah,
inside. Right?
yeah, it's soft. Has many water. The bean at the beginning. before the
Yeah.
process, and they put the this bag on horses, so the horses can take the bags from the mountain to the house.
Okay.
And there were people cooking for the workers, so I also learned the farm to cook very traditional dishes, and in this region like sancochos,
Mm.
tamales, lechona. When there were celebrations, we always eat lechona. There is a pork, but uh, just in the inside we put like rice, arvejas, plantain, yuca root, many things inside the pork. And yeah,
All
I
right.
also learned to cook there in the farm.
Cool. So then this coffee, so it was very good coffee. So was this cafe especial?
Café especial.
Okay. So this
It
is
was
like
exported.
some of the highest grade coffee beans that come out of Colombia then.
Yeah, and we have a neighbor, not a neighbor like next door, but a neighbor, another farm next to ours,
Hmm.
and he had something like Taza de la Excelencia, the excellence cup,
Hmm.
because it was the best coffee in the world during 5 years. He won that award during 5 years.
So when you say Europe was your customer, it's like the fancy people in Europe who are drinking good coffee. I think sometimes people don't realize everything that goes into
The
that
process.
cup of coffee that they have in the morning or their
Mhm.
Starbucks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In Colombia, it's very difficult job to have a farm, a coffee farm.
Yeah, I've seen those and they have, I mean, you've got to collect the fruit, you got to run it through the machine that pulls the fruit and separates it from the seed, right? And then you got to take all those seeds and put those on the drying floor so that they can slowly and evenly dry out over time. And you got to take those and then they pick through them by hand, right? To separate like by color or by quality or something.
Now there are machines that do that,
Oh,
and the part that we don't use, that is not the bean, is called
mhm.
cereza, and it works like to food for another trees. It's
Oh, like
like,
fertilizer.
yeah, fertilizer.
Oh, okay. Well,
So nothing is waste. We use everything.
very cool. Okay, so growing up on the finca, growing up with the coffee plantation, what else?
Okay, then I moved to the city because I had to start my classes,
Mhm.
my studies. So at the beginning, I went every day to school, for elementary school, to to the school and then to the farm. But when I started like middle school, I moved to the city, and I studied in a bilingual school. So I learned there to speak in English. And well, I finished my school, then I moved to another city, Popayan, that
Mhm.
is in the Pacific coast of Colombia. And there I studied my university. I studied tourism in Universidad del Cauca. So Popayan is known as La Ciudad Blanca, the white city of Colombia, because
Because of
uh,
all the white people?
maybe, but it's also for the white buildings.
Yeah.
Everything there is white. Once Popayan was the capital of Colombia, before Popayan, when we were La Nueva Granada was called the New Granada,
Mhm.
when we were one country between Venezuela and Ecuador. We were one country once,
Oh, okay.
and it was called La Nueva Granada. In Popayan was the capital. So in Popayan there are very big buildings, like governmental buildings,
Mhm.
and all the city was white. And it is white because some many time ago there was an insect called nigua, and nigua gets stuck in the skin of people and leave very big scars and horrible things. And the only way that the nigua was like eliminated from the city was to paint all the um, the buildings
Mhm.
in with cal. eucalypts produce for the nature, and that was the only thing to make this insect go away of the city
So it
and
was
leave
to
the
get
people
rid
in
of an
peace.
infestation then.
Yeah.
Wow. You see, okay, so I've been to Popayan. In fact, you probably know this, but yeah, La Universidad de Cauca, that's where my wife, I believe that's where she went into
Uh-huh.
university as well, right?
We went to the same university.
Yeah, yeah. And so she took me after we got married. She took me there, so I got to see the whole city. And yeah, it's. I was joking before. It's not because all the people are white. It's because all the buildings are white, and
Buildings, yeah.
it's something
In
that they still
fact,
do today.
in Popayan and in Cauca department, there are a lot of indigenous people. The
I remember seeing
main
that. Yeah,
Yeah, there are a lot of indigenous people and a lot of cultures. We have Misak, Nasa, and there are a lot of indigenous culture here in the department.
I remember seeing some in Popayan, and they wore like a blue dress, and they wore long braided hair.
Misak, that
With
ethnia
Misak.
is Misak. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, neat.
and they are always using their own dresses every day.
Like hand woven stuff, like that they make themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really nice.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, when we went there, I mean, it was really neat because they have all the buildings are white, and then like for the business sign, you don't get like a multicolored plexiglass
Mhm.
thing. No, it's gold lettering.
Yeah.
It looks gold anyway, but it's really neat, really uniform. It's got a real
Yeah,
unique
because
flavor to it.
there are laws to preserve all the center, all the architectural buildings,
Mhm.
so you cannot make like throw a building and build a new one. No, you want to preserve all all the history in Popayan.
Yeah, yeah, that's really neat. Well, when we went, we loved it. It was pretty fun to see. And you're
Yeah,
right.
and the
With
food
all
is
the
really good.
the food's good, of course, and the
Did you
cities.
eat tamales de pipián?
Well, I had tamales. I don't know if they were the pipián. I don't know what that is.
See, in Colombia there are a lot of type of tamales. For example, where I was born, it's called tamal tolimense or tamal huilense, but in
Mhm.
Popayán it's called tamal de pipián.
Ah, okay. I probably had one. I don't remember specifically.
I'm sure you did.
But one thing that was neat there is with with the construction and these older like Spanish architecture buildings, that it's like a square, and then in the middle you have an open courtyard, so it's open to the sky, and then it's around the edges where you have the rooms of the building, and there might be two floors. But I
Mhm.
remember there was I think it's like the Colombian version of a Starbucks. So Juan Valdez, right? The famous
Juan Valdez.
nice coffee shop there, right? And you can have your coffee in one of these old Spanish buildings, fruit
Yeah,
stand.
and all the buildings are like that, Spanish architecture.
Yeah, we actually have I don't know if you know them, but on the development team for Prima, we've got a few guys who live in Popayan.
Oh, really? No, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, Juan's one of them. So very cool. All right, so university. What did you do? Did you work through college then? Did you work through university?
Yeah, when I was studying university, I worked in a hotel during 5 years. I was receptionist and then I was front desk clerk. So from that moment, I like the customer service, and I like so much customer service. And yeah, I worked there for 5 years. It was really fun. I met people from all over the world, and since Popayan is very touristic for being the white city, you always see foreign people in
Mhm.
Popayan walking in the center of the city, having a coffee, eating tamales, eating empanadas. You always see foreign people here. It's very touristic, and the largest Holy Week in Colombia is also in Popayan. There is 500 there are 500 years of heritage in the Holy Week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we look at here in the U.S., we look at some of our cities and we're like, yeah, this city's very old. It's from 1800. It's 200 years old, so it's pretty old.
Yeah,
Down there, cities are like 500 years old. or more, at least
and
since colonization, right?
and when colonization started, the Magdalena River was very important because all the transport in the country was on the river. So the first cities in Colombia were aside the river because it was the only way of transport. In Colombia, we have three big mountains that are called Cordillera, La Cordillera de los Andes, the Andes mountains.
Mhm.
So in Colombia, it divides in three. So it's very difficult to move between those mountains. So the river was the only option to transport food, transport personal items, and everything entered from Barranquilla, that is the coast,
Mhm.
the Caribbean coast, from there to inside the country. And we are now, Pitalito is at the south of the country. So it was a long journey because this river has like 1,500 kilometers.
Yeah, I know that when we now that's the same Rio Magdalena that goes all the way to San Agustin, right?
Yeah, San Agustin.
Yeah.
That's where it starts in San Agustin. In the Colombian Massif, it's in San Agustin, el macizo colombiano, and it starts there, the river. So San Agustin is also a very nice city because you can find there the um, archaeological park
Mhm.
that is the largest necropolis in the world, and everything, all the monoliths and all the sculptures are around the live and the dead. Yeah, for indigenous people, the dead is also very important, and because it's the beginning of a new life, the dead. So there are a lot of sculptures around the dead, mm, and there you can find the largest necropolis in the world in San Agustin.
Yeah, so my wife took me there as well, and we would see, we saw all the stone monoliths and statues, and they got a lot of that stuff on display. And then there's even like a part of like a little creek where there's sculptures carved into the bedrock of the river there, and you
Mhm.
can see where they would have put poles in to hold up coverings and stuff. Really neat stuff. And there's a whole, like, they call it, some people sometimes they're called like the people of San Agustin, or La Puebla Escultor, like the sculpture building people of the area that we now know as San Agustin, because they predate by what, like, if I'm like 2,000 years ago or more, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. San Agustin is a very small town, but it's very artistic, very beautiful. There are no indigenous culture still living there because the colonization killed all of them, but they have a heritage and we remember them for their all um, archaeological items
Mhm.
they did.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is when we were visiting there, people were telling us like, yeah, I mean, if you dig anywhere, like to build a house or to put in a fence, you find stuff. There's
Mhm.
just everywhere. Like many of the hillsides are covered in tombs or where people were buried just
Yeah,
thousands of years
they,
ago. So it's all unmarked.
yeah, they are still discovering new items. If you search their website, they always like saying we have found this here, this there, new items, archaeological
Have
items
they
everywhere.
found any writing yet? Because the last I heard is they hadn't found any like script or writing.
No, no, we still
Yeah.
haven't. No,
Bummer. That would be
just
so cool.
sculptures, monoliths, but
Yeah.
no writing.
Yeah. I know there's tons of pottery and stuff too. All right. So, all right. So you've actually worked then. So you know a lot about like the Parque Arqueológica de San Agustín
San Agustin
because you worked with the national park system in Colombia.
in Colombia. Yeah, I
Tell us
started
about
like volunteer in Puracena National Park. It's the same place where the river is born.
Hold on,
Can you hear me?
we're gonna have to edit this out. Let's wait 1 second, and I'll wait till your video comes back. It's kind of choppy. Let's give it a minute here. It's still kind of grainy. Hold on. You're doing good.
Okay.
All right, let's try again. All right, so you know all about the national parks in Colombia because you used to work with the national park system, right?
Right. I started there like a volunteer in the Puracé National Park. Puracé is part of that Colombian Massif where the Magdalena River is born, and that was my first job for my career. And then I work in the Amazon jungle in another national park called Amacayacu, and
Okay,
it's next.
because in Colombia, the south of Colombia is included in the Amazon basin, right?
Mhm, yeah, yeah, we have a long extension in Colombia that is inside the Amazon jungle.
Okay, and
So then I went to work there, and I lived with a indigenous community called Ticunas, and they live next to the river. So also there you can like have that experience that was the old Colombia, that transport on the river, people carrying their stuff on a boat. And this was really fun, and I learned a lot of things there from the indigenous people.
wow, what kind of stuff did you do with the indigenous people there?
Well, I was part of their traditional celebrations, so they also have like their own dresses, like the ones here in Popayan.
Hmm.
And they have their own dresses, their own food, but their food is based on fish that they got from the river.
Oh, okay.
And so you mostly eat fish. And I was part of many celebrations, but I was there working and developing tourism products. So they want that foreign people go there and to visit them, but they want to have something to offer and some ways to involve the people into their culture.
Hmm.
So I was working on that because we also want to preserve the culture. And when you have people from outside interacting, the culture might be lost. So we want to have both people that come in, but also preserve the culture.
Yeah. And now these people, they actually live in the national park in the
Yeah,
Amazon.
inside the national park, yeah, there is a preserved area,
Hmm.
and they live inside. That is the jungle. They have their own houses inside the jungle, but it's a small, like very small towns in the jungle.
And what do
And
they think about tourists? Do they like having tourists there, or do they like wish they would not be there?
they like to have tourists. And but when I worked there, we were trying to make people more interested in knowing the Amazon jungle, because
Mhm.
the access is very difficult. You cannot only go there by a flight, and there is only one flight each day, so it's difficult to get there. To Leticia is the capital
So
of
other
Amazon.
than by air, I imagine they have to take a boat. They have to
When
get on
when
the river to get there, or just by plane.
you get there by plane, but then you have to get a boat to get to the communities,
Okay.
because they are all along the river,
Hmm.
the Amazon River. So it was two no sorry it was 4 kilometers from the city that is Leticia,
Hmm.
from the plain land from there to the communities in the national park is 4 kilometers on the river.
Okay. So what was the coolest thing that you saw when you were working with the indigenous peoples in the Amazon?
Well, I saw a lot of animals that I never have saw before, and but what I liked the most was birds. I love birds, and it's because when I was a kid, when I was living in the farm, uh, we had a lot of birds there. And when I was in the Amazon, I also saw a lot of birds, but different, all of them very different. And I woke up at 4 a.m. and I went on a boat, a small boat, on the river to see birds. I love that. I love watching birds.
Wow.
And I have a like a birds guide.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you like check them off once you've seen them?
Yeah. And oh my god, that was amazing. I love watching birds.
Okay, that's your thing. Okay. So let's see. Here in the US, they call it like the Arbor Society, the US Arbor,
I iBird
ARBOR.
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an iBird here, and all the people go to see birds, and we put them into a system. So Colombia is the country of the world who has the most um, type of birds.
So the most diversity in species types.
Yeah, in birds, we are the third country in biodiverse
Hmm.
in the world, but in birds we are the first.
Really? You see, okay, so the one of our co-founders of Prima, Jorge Diaz, lives in Pitalito, and he's got a fancy camera, and that's one of his hobbies is he'll take
Oh,
pictures of all
really?
these different kinds of birds and he puts them on his Instagram account. Do you follow any Instagram accounts of bird lovers?
Well, I don't follow him, but I follow some of bird lovers, and I have been part of that eBird days. And one of those in 2019, I was in the Amazon jungle. So in that year, I was part of the Amazon crew for eBird Day. But
Wow.
I like to follow the co-founder of Prima on
I'll give you his name, and it's Jorge Diaz Gasita. And just look for
Jorge.
the profile with bird pictures on it. It's him. And they're amazing because he's got a really nice camera. So he can take great photos. And you see the bird like in midair with its wings like this,
Oh my
feeding
god.
the babies, all that stuff. It's pretty amazing. And yeah, so there's a movie here in the US. It has Jack Black in it, and it also has Steve Martin, and it's called, I don't know if it's One Big Year or The Big Year. It might be One Big Year. And for bird watchers, at least here, maybe it's a global thing. Sometimes they'll say, I'm going to go for one big year. And they get the camera and they go wherever they can and they try and take as many pictures or see or hear as many birds as possible. And then they record it and they keep a journal of it. And whoever sees the most birds that year, they're like famous for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it
I
sounds
need to
like they
watch
should
it.
be going to Colombia to get the best diversity of species of birds.
Yeah, we are the first country in the world.
Wow. So I know at my in-laws we saw like there's like this green parrot, but then there's like red, what do they call them? Guacamayas?
Guacamaya. Hmm.
Yeah. Did they have those in the Amazon then? They must have.
Yeah, guacamayas, but they are in the Amazon. They are not only red and green. They are other species of the
Other
same
colors too?
family, but
Yeah.
with other colors also.
Oh wow.
It's amazing. I don't have many pictures of birds, I'm like an amateur, but I like hearing them and watching them. So when I was there, I woke up very early to go and see them inside the forest. And also, there were like a corporation who wished took care of monkeys in danger.
Uh-huh.
So the first time I went to visit them, had arrived one monkey. That's a volador, el mono volador,
Like a flying
and
monkey?
this el flying monkey. And he was very afraid, but they needed to give him some medicine, and he was very afraid in a corner, so small and hurt. And he didn't want to receive the medicine. And then I arrived. Hey, how are you? I was told about this place. I wanted to visit you. And the monkey came to me and hugged me. And I was like,
What?
oh, so nice. But I didn't know that it was his first day there,
Oh,
his first day there also. And all of them were, oh my God, he can give him the medicine.
you can talk to monkeys.
But I was like, oh, so nice. Yeah. And they gave me the medicine so I can give the medicine to the monkey. It was
Yeah.
a very, very special moment because the monkey really needed. So I was part of saving him. That was really a good moment for me. I remember that monkey a lot. I have a teacher because one of the indigenous people is an artist and he
Hmm.
draws very, very nice, and he drew the monkey on the t-shirt and I have it.
Wow.
He gave me that present because he told me that I saved the monkey. Yeah,
That is so cool.
and I kept going the following days so I can give the medicine to the monkey. It was very little, very nice
Really?
monkey.
Do you remember like the species of monkey it was?
Well, in Spanish is mono volador, flying
Oh, okay.
monkey. Yeah, flying monkey.
Mona
I
Bolero.
think is the name. But in that place, in that side, they had a lot of different species because indigenous people still hunt, and they were trying to take care of the monkeys in the jungle,
Yeah.
because also there are like no contacted communities, like communities that people have never seen, but they know they are very inside of the forest and they live with no contact with the outside. So those communities still hunt.
And so those like they still exist in the Amazon in Colombia, and they really don't have contact with outside people.
Yeah, they don't have contact.
Wow.
Never. And some people say that they are like
Cannibals.
cannibals. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that is not a
Well, how would
confirmed
you know?
information.
You're not allowed in to
Yeah,
check it
that is.
out.
Yeah, yeah. That's what people said, and that like gossips between communities.
Okay.
But they
So
say
just
they are cannibals.
yeah. All right. So how long did you work on that project in the Amazon?
I was in 2019, like 1 year, 1 year, because then COVID started. So the people who were not from there had to go out. So I came back to Pitalito and
Okay.
started working with Bella Legal Assistance. So I've been working in this company for 10 months since August 2020.
Okay. Well, we're glad to have you aboard. Boy, that's really cool. So
And I'm
COVID,
happy.
so COVID, like, I mean, it just affected everybody, right? With everything having been shut down, and then attorneys needed um, people who could work remotely for them, obviously. So, yeah, lose one job, get another, I guess. I don't know. I kind of would. Are you thinking about ever going back to visit the people there?
Well, I would like to visit them, but for now you can't because Colombia doesn't have the best health system, and in the Amazon jungle is worst.
Hmm.
So they have been very, very affected by COVID, and a lot of people have dead there. So you cannot still go there, but I hope I can go to visit them.
Yeah. Well, let's hope there can be a strong vaccine rollout in Colombia soon, and hopefully things can start getting back to normal.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, Gilmer, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for telling us a little bit about yourself. That's really cool that you were working for the national park system down there, and even directly with indigenous peoples in different parts of your country. So,
Now, thank you so much to you for inviting me and for being here also.
okay. Well, have a great day, Gilmer. Thanks. Take care.
Have a good day, you too. Bye bye.